Hans, how you feeling right now? How you holding up?
Well, the better question is how's Varoufakis and how's Tsipras holding up, because they've got everyone ganging up on them, trying to get them to do a deal, and they keep saying no. You know, we've just had a bunch of finance ministers go into this Eurogroup meeting. There's no deal. All the creditors are on the same page. They have a document. The Greeks have rejected that document. The Greeks have their second document. But my favorite quote was from the Slovak deputy prime minister. He's the finance minister. He said, "Allow me not to be optimistic anymore." And that seems to sum up most of the finance ministers going through. De Guindos says now it gets complicated. Bottom line is, at this point, even the finance ministers are throwing up their hands, and they're not quite sure how this resolves itself. That's not to say it doesn't get resolved, but they just don't know.
Hey, Hans, let me ask you how involved Yanis Varoufakis is, because, you know, after he was taken away from the negotiating table, we haven't heard very much from him, and you've mentioned him now twice.
Yeah, so he still represents Greece at the Euro finance minister level. So if you think of the next 3 hours, or now 2 hours, as one of the remaining last 2-hour chunks to negotiate, and they really have until, what, Sunday night, Monday morning, Varoufakis is at least representing the Greek position. We don't know if he was silent going in. We don't know if he's silent during the meeting. If he's silent during the meeting, it'll be a short meeting. There won't be an agreement, and then leaders will discuss it, and then Tsipras will be back in command.
All right, Hans, we've heard some contradictory things coming out of Brussels in the past half hour or so. We heard Wolfgang Schäuble, the German finance minister, saying that the Greeks have gone backwards. We heard Pierre Moscovici sounding a lot more optimistic. What's your reading on how far apart the two sides remain?
They're probably both exaggerating a little bit. I mean, Moscovici has been consistently optimistic, almost, I don't want to say unbelievably so, but Moscovici's always the one saying, we're very close to a deal, we're very close to a deal. And Schäuble, along with his Austrian counterpart, is one of the ones that's more consistently negative. Now, you know, this is kind of, I'm not sure what reality is, so I can't necessarily adjudicate those two, but one of them, or at least both of them, are good examples of the opposite direction.
Let me ask you just one more time. When is the absolute deadline, Hans?
No, I can't. I mean,
when does it really matter?
What does the fox say? What does the fox say? There's certain questions that we don't have answers to.
Have you booked
and when
the
the real
return trip
deadline
to Berlin?
is for.
When are you heading home?
I will be back in Berlin this weekend when markets are closed. But when markets are open, and I think at a certain point the story shifts to Athens and Brussels, as we talked about last night. It's time for currywurst.
Yes. Currywurst on the Kudamm. All right, Hans Nichols, thanks very much for that report from Brussels.